Use your hand, my wife said. It was late last night, and her voice was utterly cold, stripped of any intimacy we once shared. She really thought I'd just suffer through that silence, right? But this morning, at breakfast, I looked her straight in the eye and said, "No money. You need to earn it yourself now." Her beautiful smile shattered instantly. My name is Sebastian. I'm 37. For the past 10 long years, I've been the one holding up this marriage, the sole provider for Lorena. She's 34. I remember when we first met in college. She was so brilliant, so ambitious, a woman on fire with dreams. She studied interior design and never shut up about launching her own company. That's the woman I fell in love with. The one with that spark in her eyes when she talked about her future projects. The first few years were great. I was working as an engineer in construction. I earned enough, but nothing crazy. Lena took on small, sporadic jobs, decorating modest homes or commercial spaces. We were a team. We split the bills and shared everything, including our wildest hopes. But 5 years ago, everything shifted. I landed a massive promotion. I became a project manager, and my salary tripled overnight. Suddenly, we could afford luxuries we'd only dreamed of. That's when Lorena stopped looking for work. At first, she said she needed to focus on her portfolio to really prepare for her company launch. I believed her completely. I gave her my absolute support. I paid for specialized courses, for professional software, for international trips, to design fairs. I need to invest in my training, she'd assure me. And I'd just nod, because my faith in her was unbreakable. A year bled into 2. The portfolio never materialized. The company was never launched. Instead, Lorena started spending her days at exclusive gyms, high-end spas, and expensive beauty salons. Our closets filled up with designer clothes, brands I couldn't even pronounce. "I have to look professional for my big launch," she explained. And like an idiot, I kept believing. By year 3, I realized her friends were different. They weren't the college girls working in offices or schools anymore. They were the wives of wealthy businessmen, women whose 4-hour lunches cost more than my first week's paycheck. Lena fit right into that world. It became terrifyingly clear that I no longer fit into her life. Our physical intimacy began to die 2 years ago. At first, it was little excuses. "I'm tired. Tomorrow, love. I'm not in the mood." I tried to be patient, to be understanding. But the excuses became the norm until almost all physical affection between us vanished. If I tried to talk about it, Lena would either get fiercely defensive or just change the subject. 6 months ago, things spiraled. Lena started coming home late. Her explanations were vague. I was with the girls. I noticed her glued to her phone, always face down when I was near. Asking about her day got me monosyllables or superficial comments about shopping or salon treatments. The lack of intimacy wasn't what truly destroyed me. It was the crushing humiliation. 3 weeks ago, I tried to get close to her in bed one more time. Lena looked at me with an expression that still haunts my dreams. It wasn't hatred or disgust. It was something worse. Utter, cold indifference. She looked at me like I was a broken appliance, a piece of old furniture that served no purpose. "Use your hand," she sneered, with a short, dismissive laugh. "I don't feel like dealing with you tonight." I froze. I was paralyzed. In 10 years of marriage, she had never spoken to me with such calculated cruelty. She had never reduced me to such nothingness. I got out of bed, unable to speak, and went to the guest room. I didn't sleep a wink. I stared at the ceiling, trying to process the sheer brutality of what had just happened, wondering at what exact point I had become so disposable to the woman I still loved. The following days were a silent, awful blur. Lena carried on as if nothing had happened. Gym, spa, ladies' lunches. Her routine was unchanged. I kept paying for everything. Every charge on the credit cards was in my name, used without a thought by her. I watched the numbers stack up. $500 for a meal, $800 for a treatment, $10,000 on clothes. The sickness in my gut made me start digging. I discreetly checked her social media. I'd never felt the need to before. I trusted her. What I found ripped my world apart. Photos in glamorous places I didn't know. Her smiling radiantly next to people she'd never mentioned. And a persistent pattern. A tall, well-dressed man appearing too many times. Her friends were leaving incredibly suggestive emojis in the comments. "Beautiful couple," one wrote. Lena responded with a heart. I hired a private investigator. I had to know the full, terrible truth, no matter how much it hurt. It cost me $2,000, paid in cash to leave zero trace in our shared accounts. The investigator worked for a week. The report he delivered confirmed every nightmare. Lena had a lover. His name was Ricardo. He was 42, owned a chain of restaurants. The report detailed them meeting 2 or 3 times a week at a luxury hotel downtown. The photos told the story perfectly. They'd arrive separately, go up to the same room, and emerge hours later. One photo, in particular, was agonizing. Lorena kissing him in the hotel parking lot with a fervent passion she hadn't directed at me in years. But the report held another surprise, a vile one. Ricardo was married, with a wife and kids, and Lorena was not his only affair. The man had at least 2 other women he was seeing regularly. My wife wasn't some special love of his life. She was just another piece in his collection. Last night, I got the report. I came home ready to scream, to confront her, to finally end it. But when I arrived, Lorena was already in bed, looking at her phone, smiling with that exact expression I knew was for him. I tried to calm myself, to approach her, maybe look for a flicker of the woman I married. That's when it happened again. Use your hand, she said, with that sickening, cruel laugh, treating me like I was garbage. As if 10 years of marriage, of financially supporting her, of believing in the dream she abandoned, meant absolutely nothing. That was the final blow, not the betrayal. I already knew that. It was the sheer, utter contempt in her voice, reducing me to a pathetic inconvenience in her perfectly managed double life. I didn't sleep in the guest room. I stayed up in my home office all night. I logged into the bank accounts, the credit cards, everything was in my name. Lena was merely an authorized user. I had been the one funding every bill, every luxury, every whim. Staring at the shocking numbers on the screen, the thousands I'd spent to maintain her lifestyle while she stabbed me in the back, I made my decision. No screams. No messy drama. Just consequences. At 6 a.m., I started. I used the bank system to remove Lena as an authorized user from every single account. I canceled all the credit cards with her name on them. I changed every password. It took me 45 minutes to completely dismantle the financial safety net I had foolishly built around her. When I went down for breakfast at 7:30, Lena was in the kitchen, texting. Probably a good morning message for Ricardo. She wore a silk robe I bought her a few months back when I was still clinging to hope. She looked utterly relaxed, confident, completely oblivious. I made coffee in silence. She didn't even glance up. I put my cup on the table with a little too much force. The noise made her look up, annoyed by the interruption. No money. Earn it yourself, I said. My voice was eerily calm, possessing a cold strength I didn't know I had. Her smile instantly froze. What did you say? You heard me. From now on you want money? Go earn it. You don't have access to my accounts or cards anymore. Lena gave a shaky, nervous laugh. Sebastian, what on earth are you talking about? Is this a joke? It's not a joke. I took you off everything this morning. Bank accounts, credit cards, everything. Nothing that is mine is available to you. She went instantly pale. You can't do that. I'm your wife. Yes, I can. And I did. Everything is legally in my name, Lena. It always was. You were just an authorized user, and you aren't anymore. She shot up from the table. This is insane. Why would you destroy things like this? Because last night you told me to use my hand. Because you've been humiliating me for months. Because I'm done being your personal bank. You are exaggerating. It was a joke. It was not a joke, Lorena. And we both know the truth. Disbelief quickly morphed into genuine panic on her face. She rushed to her purse, snatched her wallet, found her cards, grabbed her phone, and tried to check the account balances. Blocked. Everything was blocked. Everything required passwords she didn't have. Sebastian, please. Her voice cracked. You can't leave me with nothing. How am I supposed to pay for anything? Get a job, like everyone else. But I have no recent experience. Who would ever hire me? You should have thought about that before you became a professional freeloader. The word hit her like a punch. Freeloader? You dare call me a freeloader? What else would you call a person who refuses to work, who spends thousands of dollars a month on pure luxury, and who lives entirely off their partner's money? I am your wife. You're supposed to take care of me. And you were supposed to respect me. Look where that got us. Lorena slumped back into the chair, her hands shaking, still clutching the useless pieces of plastic. Sebastian, if this is about last night, I'm so sorry. I was in a bad mood. I didn't mean it. This is not just about last night. This is about everything. About the person you've become, a person I don't recognize. About the lies. About the contempt. What lies are you talking about? I held her gaze without blinking. Ricardo. Her face went bone white. The name hung there, detonating everything. I watched her struggle to process what I'd said, her mind frantically searching for a defense, a plausible lie, anything to save herself. I don't know what you're talking about, she finally whispered, but her voice was hollow. I went back upstairs to my office and returned with the private investigators folder. I tossed it onto the table in front of her. The glossy photos spilled out, vivid color evidence of her betrayal. Lena entering the hotel. Lena kissing Ricardo. Lena leaving hours later, hair a little messy, a satisfied look on her face. Do you still not know what I'm talking about? Lena picked up the photos, her hands trembling uncontrollably. She looked at them one by one. With each image, her composure disintegrated. When she reached the picture of the kiss, she finally broke, sobbing violently. Sebastian, I can explain. You don't need to. The photos speak for themselves. You've been seeing him for at least 6 months. 2 or 3 times a week. Hotel Marvia, room 312. You always arrive first. He's there 15 minutes later. You stay between 2 and 4 hours. You were investigating me, she said, her voice ravaged. When your wife starts treating you like dirt and never comes home on time, yes, you investigate. and it turns out my suspicion was well-founded. Sebastian, please let me explain. It's not what you think. What am I misunderstanding? Lena, you are sleeping with another man. Spell out for me the part I'm missing. She angrily wiped her tears. You pushed me to this. You and your job, always working. You had no time for me. I felt so lonely. I stared at her, dumbfounded. You blame me? I worked 12 hours a day to pay for your life. The $400 lunches, the $600 facials, the clothes that cost more than my first car. I pay for all that while you feel lonely. It's not only about money, Sebastian. I needed attention. I needed to feel desired. And you found that attention in a married man who has 2 other mistresses besides you. That stopped her cold. What? I pulled out the relevant part of the investigator's report. Ricardo Mendoza, 42 years old, married to Sylvia Mendoza for 18 years, 3 children. And according to my man, you are not his only affair. There's a Patricia he sees on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and a Daniela on weekends. You were the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday slot. He runs a rotation schedule. I watched the information land. That cannot be true. It is true. And the best part? None of you know about the others. Ricardo is very organized. He uses the same hotel for all of you, but on different days. He probably told all of you the same pathetic lie about leaving his wife. Lena buried her face in her hands. No, no, no. He told you he was leaving his wife for you, didn't he? That you were special, that he'd never felt this way before. The deafening silence was my answer. You were just a notch on his belt, Lena. And the sickest part is you used my money to do it. The hotels? The cards I gave you? The expensive new outfits you bought to impress him? I was funding my own humiliation without even knowing it. Sebastian, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I made a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. A mistake is accidental. This was a choice you made again and again for 6 months. Every time you walked into that hotel room, you chose to betray me. Lena fell to her knees next to my chair, grabbing my hands. Please, we can fix this. I'll break it off with Ricardo right now. I swear I'll never see him again. I pulled my hands away. I don't care if you end it with Ricardo. I don't care what you do with him anymore. What are you saying? I'm saying this is over. Our marriage is finished. No, you can't just decide that. We have 10 years together. 10 years that clearly meant nothing to you. My phone buzzed. It was a text from my lawyer confirming the appointment I'd set yesterday. I have to leave, I said, standing up. Where are you going? To work. Some of us still have to. Sebastian, wait. We can't just leave it like this. We have to talk. We've said enough. I've made my decision. I walked out, leaving her kneeling on the kitchen floor amidst the scattered, painful photographs. Driving to work, my hands were shaking so badly I had to pull over and wait 5 minutes. 10 years of my life, gone. 10 years of loving someone who had absolutely no respect for me. At the office, focusing was impossible. Every time I blinked, I saw the pictures. I heard her cold, venomous laugh. Carolina, my assistant, looked concerned. Mr. Sebastian, are you all right? You look terrible. I'm fine, Carolina. Just a rough night. If you need to go home, I can cancel your meetings. Thank you, but no, I'd rather stay busy. Around 11 a.m., my phone started ringing constantly. It was Lena. I rejected the first call, the second, the third. Eventually, I just shut it off. There was nothing left to say. At 2 p.m., I met my lawyer, Rodrigo Salinas, a divorce specialist recommended by a colleague. His office was high up in the financial district. Sebastian, sit down, Rodrigo said, shaking my hand. Tell me everything. I laid out the whole ugly story, the gradual decay, the infidelity, the emotional cruelty, the financial history. Rodrigo took meticulous notes. Do you have children? No, none together. The house is mine. I bought it before we were married. No joint accounts. Everything is in my name. She was just an authorized user on my credit cards. Does she work? She hasn't worked in 5 years. Rodrigo whistled low. That could complicate things. A judge might decide she grew accustomed to a certain lifestyle during the marriage and award her alimony. Alimony? After she cheated on me for half a year. Infidelity is a factor, but it doesn't automatically negate a spousal support claim, especially given the economic gap. You could still end up paying her. Rage flared inside me again. I might have to keep supporting her after all this. It's possible, but that's where your evidence is critical. If we can prove the infidelity was premeditated and long-term, and that she used your funds to facilitate it, we have a very strong case that she deserves nothing. I need copies of everything. The photos, the report, the credit card statements. I have it already. Good. And from now on, document every single interaction you have with her. Texts, emails, even recordings if possible. Everything is evidence. How long will this take? It depends. If she cooperates, we could wrap up an express divorce in 6 months. If she fights, it could drag on for up to 2 years. 2 years, I repeated, tasting the bitterness. It's the system, but I'll make it as fast and clean as possible. One more crucial thing, Sebastian, don't do anything rash. Don't lock her out of the house without a court order. Don't cut off utilities. Keep things running as normal until we have the papers. She can use any rash action against you. I already cut off her access to the accounts and cards this morning. Rodrigo frowned. That could be construed as financial abuse. You need to restore access to one account with a reasonable monthly allowance, $500, maybe $1,000. Enough for necessities, not her previous lifestyle. I have to keep supporting her until the court rules. Legally, yes, but we can limit it. It's temporary, I promise. I left his office feeling defeated. My wife had betrayed me, and the legal system seemed intent on protecting her lifestyle anyway. But Rodrigo was right. I had to be smart. When I got home that night, the house was unnervingly quiet. Lights were on, but Lorena was nowhere in the living areas. I went upstairs and found her on our bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. Her eyes were red, swollen from crying. We need to talk, I said from the doorway. She sat up quickly. Seb, thank God. I thought you weren't coming back. I live here. I know. I'm sorry. After this morning, I just thought you might. My lawyer advised me to give you access to a temporary account with $1,000 a month for basic needs. Her face stiffened. Your lawyer? You went to a lawyer already? Yes, and tomorrow you'll be served with the divorce petition. You can't be serious. I have never been more serious in my life. Lena jumped off the bed. Sebastian, please. I know I made a huge mistake, a terrible one, but we can fix this. Lots of couples survive infidelity. I don't want to survive this. I want to end it. Just like that, 10 years means nothing to you. It clearly meant less to you when you chose to sleep with Ricardo. It was stupid. I was confused. I felt so invisible. And now you feel very visible, don't you? Now that the money is gone. It's not about the money. It is all about the money, Lena. Do you know how much you spent last month? $13,000. Do you know how much of that was necessary? Maybe $1,000. The rest was luxury, expensive meals, designer clothes, spa treatments. I needed those things. No, you wanted them. There's a huge difference. And I was stupid enough to give you everything, thinking it would make you happy, thinking it would make me worthy of your love. But nothing I did was ever enough, was it? She stayed silent. The investigator found more. I continued. Ricardo is married and has 2 other women besides you. Did he ever mention that? The silence was crushing. He told you he was going to leave his wife. He said it was complicated. The oldest line in the book, and you fell for it completely. I'm not perfect, Sebastian. I made mistakes. They aren't mistakes, Lena. They are choices. You chose to betray me again and again. My only regret is being so blind that I didn't see it sooner. I started toward the door. Where are you going? She asked, terrified. To the guest room. We sleep separately from now on. Please don't do this. It's already done. That night, alone in the guest room, I checked my phone. 32 missed calls from Lena. 17 messages. I read them all. They were a torrent of desperate pleas and hollow promises of change. Not one mentioned being sorry for hurting me. Every single one was focused on what she was losing. That's when the last sliver of doubt died. Lena didn't regret the infidelity. She regretted the consequences. The next few days were excruciating. Lena constantly tried to engage me, looking for any excuse to be in the same room. I kept my distance, used monosyllables, and focused relentlessly on work and preparing the divorce case with Rodrigo. On Thursday morning, exactly 5 days after the confrontation, the courier arrived at the house with the official divorce papers. I was already at work, so Lorena received them alone. She called me immediately, her voice a hysterical, raw scream. How could you do this to me? These are real divorce papers. I told you I would. I thought you were bluffing. I thought you'd cool down. I am not bluffing, and I am not cooling down. Sign the papers, Lena. I'm not signing anything. I won't let you destroy our marriage. You already destroyed it. I'm just formalizing the end. I hung up. 30 seconds later, she called back. I ignored it. She kept calling for 2 hours until I finally blocked her number. When I got home that evening, Lena was waiting in the living room. The papers were strewn across the coffee table. She had a glass of wine, and her eyes were puffy and red. I read everything, she whispered as I walked in. You're filing a fault divorce. You're using the photos as evidence. You're demanding I pay my own legal fees. That's correct. Sebastian, this will ruin me. If this goes public, everyone will know what I did. You should have considered that beforehand. Please. She got up from the sofa, moving closer. Don't do this to me. We can try counseling. We can fix this. There is nothing left to fix. This is finished. And my friends? My family? What am I supposed to tell them? Tell them the truth. That you cheated on me for 6 months with a married man who had multiple mistresses. Or lie. You seem good at that. Her pleading look snapped into anger. You were always so condescending. Always acting like you were superior to me. I don't think I'm superior, but I know I deserve better than what you gave me. And cutting me off financially isn't cruel, leaving me with nothing. You have $1,000 a month. That's more than many people earn working full-time. and it's only temporary until you get a job. No one will hire me. I haven't worked in 5 years. Then maybe you should have maintained your career instead of becoming a professional freeloader. The word hit her again. I am not a freeloader. What else are you? You don't work. You spend money you don't earn. You live in a house you didn't pay for. You drive a car in my name. What would you call that? I was your wife. You were my wife. Now you are just someone I'm sharing a house with until the divorce is final. Lorena dropped the wine glass. It shattered violently on the expensive hardwood floor, staining the rug she'd picked out 2 years ago. She just stared at the mess, a perfect metaphor for her life. Everything was perfect, she whispered. We had everything. Why couldn't you just let it go? I stared at her, genuinely shocked. Let go of you cheating on me. Are you even hearing yourself? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Lots of couples have arrangements. The men have their things, the women have theirs, and everyone just pretends. It works for a lot of people. Are you suggesting you wanted an open marriage? Not exactly. Just more flexibility. Flexibility to sleep with whoever you want while I pay all the bills. Don't make it sound so awful. It is awful, Lena. You wanted all the benefits of marriage, my money, my stability, my name, with none of the responsibility. You wanted to screw around freely and have me just accept it. Other men accept it. Well, I am not other men. And you, clearly, are not the woman I thought I married. I headed toward the stairs. Behind me, her sobs started again, but this time they left me completely cold. The urge to comfort her, to try to fix things, was entirely gone. All that remained was a vast, empty space where my love used to be. On Friday night, I got a call from an unknown number. I hesitated, but something compelled me to answer. Sebastian. The female voice was unfamiliar. Yes. Who is this? My name is Sylvia Mendoza. I think we need to discuss our spouses. My heart hammered. Ricardo's wife. How did you get my number? I have my ways. And before you ask, yes, I know about your wife and my husband. I also know about Patricia and Daniela. I know everything. How long have you known? About a year. I hired an investigator when my husband's schedule stopped adding up. Turns out he was much busier than I realized. And why call me now? Because I heard you filed for divorce, and I believe we can help each other. How? My lawyer says if I can prove his systematic, multiple infidelities, I can negotiate a much stronger asset division. The photos your investigator took would be incredibly useful to me. In return, I can offer you information that will make your case against Lena unassailable. What kind of information? Call logs, texts I recovered from Ricardo's phone, even recorded conversations. I have evidence that your wife knew Ricardo was married from day one. I have messages where she mocks me, calling me a boring wife who couldn't keep her husband interested. A new wave of cold fury washed over me. She made fun of you. Oh yes. Apparently, I was the big joke among Ricardo and his mistresses, the stupid wife who noticed nothing. But I did notice. I've been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And that moment is now. Ricardo just sunk a huge amount of money into an expansion. If I file now, before those investments mature, I can claim half of everything, including the debt. That's genius. It's just justice. So, do we share information? Send me everything you have. Perfect. And Sebastian, one last thing. When the dust settles, and trust me, it's going to be a detonation, Lena will try to crawl back. She'll say Ricardo manipulated her, that she was the victim. Do not believe a single word. I have no intention of it. Good. Because women like her, like Patricia and Daniela, don't feel true remorse. They only regret being caught. After hanging up, I sat in my office, absorbing the conversation. Sylvia Mendoza was no victim. She was a brilliant woman who had been meticulously planning her revenge for a year. Her move was about to destroy Ricardo and simultaneously hand me the final victory against Lena. On Saturday morning, Sylvia sent a massive file filled with all her evidence. I spent hours reading, texts planning their trysts, inappropriate photos Lena had sent him, and the most sickening part, conversations where she trashed me. Sebastian is so predictable, one text read. He works like a mule and never suspects anything. He's the perfect, boring, reliable husband. Another. Sometimes I wonder if he'd notice if I just left for a whole week. He'd probably only notice his shirts weren't ironed. And the line that caused a physical ache in my chest. The great thing about being married to Sebastian is I get the best of both worlds. Financial stability with him and passion with you. I immediately forwarded everything to Rodrigo. His response was ecstatic. This is gold. With this evidence, there is no chance of alimony. We could even argue for emotional damages in your favor. On Monday morning, Rodrigo called a meeting with Lena and her lawyer, Mauricio Taves, known for aggressively defending wealthy wives. Lena showed up in a demure dress, barely any makeup, clearly trying to project vulnerability. Thank you for coming, Rodrigo started. We have a few matters to discuss before proceeding. Mauricio immediately went on the offensive. My client is willing to consider reconciliation if Mr. Sebastian drops the divorce and restores her full financial access. That will never happen, I stated firmly. Then my client requests $5,000 a month in alimony until she can re-establish herself, plus half the value of the marital home. Rodrigo gave a tight, confident smile. An interesting opening position. Let's see if you can hold it after reviewing this. He slid Sylvia's folder across the table. This contains additional evidence of your client's infidelity. It includes text messages where she explicitly admits to knowing Mr. Ricardo Mendoza was married, messages where she mocked my client, and conversations where she planned to use the marriage as a financial shield for her affair. Mauricio opened the folder, his face turning grim as he read. Lena's skin went white. Where did you get this? Mauricio demanded, scrambling to regain control. A reliable source. It is all fully admissible in court. And there is more. Call logs, more photos, even recordings. If this goes to trial, it will be extremely public and deeply humiliating for your client. Lena looked at me, eyes full of desperate pleading. Sebastian, please. So, Rodrigo continued, here is our final offer. Mrs. Lena signs a waiver relinquishing all claim to the house, all alimony, and all assets in my client's name. In exchange, my client will agree not to make this evidence public and will proceed with a quiet, discreet divorce. You have 24 hours to accept. Mauricio closed the folder heavily. I need to speak with my client in private. Of course. Use the conference room. When they left, I leaned back. Do you think she'll sign? She has no choice. A trial means losing financially and having her reputation utterly destroyed. Her friends, her family, everyone will know the full truth. 30 minutes later, they returned. Lena's eyes were red-rimmed and empty. Mauricio looked defeated. My client accepts the terms, with one condition, that the divorce be finalized in under 6 months. We can achieve that, Rodrigo agreed. If there are no disputes, we can have the decree in 90 days. Mauricio nodded. Then we have an agreement. Lena looked at me one last time. Is this what you truly want? Yes. After everything we shared, this is how it ends. You decided how it would end when you chose Ricardo over me. Her hand shook violently as she signed the papers. Each signature looked like a physical injury. Mauricio collected the documents, and they left without another word. I stayed in Rodrigo's office, just staring at the signed agreement. 10 years of my life officially ended in this sterile room, with a shaky signature on a dotted line. How do you feel? Rodrigo asked softly. Empty, I admitted, but also incredibly relieved. That's normal. Give it time. What you did was an act of self-preservation. You took back control instead of remaining the victim. That night, when I got home, Lena was gone. She had packed up and left. The silence in the house was eerie. No loud TV. No scent of her perfume. Just quiet. I went upstairs to our bedroom. Now just my room. On the bed, there was a folded note. Sebastian, I know these words mean nothing now, but I am truly sorry. I'm sorry I failed you. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I wasn't the wife you deserved. I wish I could turn back time and make different choices. Since I can't, I just want you to know the early years were real. I did love you. Maybe I still do, but I completely understand why you can't love me anymore. Take care, Lena. I crumpled the note and tossed it into the trash. The words were well written, but they held no power over me anymore. I had seen her true self. I had read her messages mocking me. I had seen the photos. The love I once felt was finally, utterly dead. Her departure was the final closing of that horrible chapter. The first few weeks alone were strange. The house felt vast, too quiet. Sometimes I'd catch myself making coffee for two, or turning to share a joke with the person who wasn't there. But then something remarkable began to happen. The more time passed, the clearer I saw how toxic our entire relationship had become. Not just recently, but gradually, over years. I had simply gotten used to her contempt, her endless demands, her refusal to contribute anything real to our life. Carolina, my assistant, was the first to comment. Mr. Sebastian, you look different, she said one afternoon. Different how? Lighter, like you dropped a heavy burden. She was right. Without the pressure of keeping Lena happy, of funding her endless vanity projects, of walking on eggshells in my own home, I could finally breathe freely. 2 weeks after Lena signed the papers, Rodrigo called again. Sebastian, I need you here. There's been a development. I rushed to his office. Rodrigo was waiting with a woman I now recognized, Sylvia Mendoza. She was slim, dark-haired, and looked focused. Sebastian, thank you for coming, she said, her handshake firm. I wanted to meet you in person. What's happened? I served Ricardo with his divorce papers 3 days ago, using all the evidence we shared. His reaction was exactly as predicted, utter melodrama. He denied everything, then minimized it, then completely collapsed when I showed him the photos and messages. He begged me to think of the children, the usual performance. And what did you tell him? The same thing you told Lena. It was too late. He made his choice every time he walked into that hotel. I felt a powerful, shared understanding with this woman. Is there anything else? Yes, Sylvia continued. Ricardo is completely ruined financially. It turns out he'd been draining the restaurant funds to keep up his affairs, taking out disastrous loans against the business. When my forensic accountants checked the books, it was a catastrophe. The company is completely underwater. What does that mean for you? I'll end up with half of almost nothing. But it also means Ricardo is finished. He's going to lose everything, the restaurants, the house, his reputation. And his mistresses are about to realize their sugar daddy is broke, including Lorena. Sylvia gave a cold, satisfied smile. Especially Lorena. In fact, that's why I'm here. Ricardo tried to contact Lena after I served him. She ignored him, so he went looking for her. Where is she living? With her mother. My sources say Ricardo showed up there last night and caused a huge scene. Lorena's mother actually had to call the police. Is she physically okay? Yes. Ricardo was pathetic, not violent. But the scene was public. In that neighborhood, news travels fast. Despite everything, I felt a flicker of concern for Lena. Old habits died hard. Why are you telling me this? Because Ricardo is desperate, and desperate men are dangerous. If he tries to contact you, stay far away. There is nothing to gain. She was right. Thank you for the warning. One last note. Ricardo also visited Patricia and Daniela. He's on a panic tour, trying to see if any of his women will bail him out financially. I felt a strange pang. I thought you'd like to know that Lorena was the third one he ran to, not the first. Even in his desperation, she wasn't his priority. That night, the call Sylvia predicted came. It was an unknown number. Sebastian, it's Ricardo Mendoza. His voice was raw, laced with desperation. How did you get my number? That doesn't matter. I need to talk to you about Lena. I have nothing to discuss with you. Please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I listened. I made mistakes, huge mistakes, Ricardo pleaded. But Lena pursued me. She initiated everything. She was the aggressive one. You're calling me to blame my ex-wife for your affair? What do you want, Ricardo? I need you to talk to Sylvia. Tell her to drop the divorce. If she goes through with it, I lose everything. My restaurants, my house, everything. His sheer arrogance left me speechless. Why on earth would I do that? Because Lena will need money. Without me, who is going to take care of her? That is no longer my problem. And it is certainly not my responsibility to ensure you can continue supporting your mistress. She's not just a mistress. I love her. Which one? All three of them. Silence. Yes, I know about Patricia and Daniela. I also know Lena was third on your list for a financial bailout. So don't talk to me about love. Okay, maybe I love all three. Love is complicated. No, but betrayal is simple. You betrayed your wife, your kids, and you helped my wife betray me. I owe you nothing. Sebastian, please. I hung up and blocked the number. The call left me shaken. Ricardo was truly desperate. 2 days later, the rumors started. A small article about his restaurant chain's financial issues. Then a gossip blog published the story of his divorce and the multiple mistresses. By the weekend, the story had exploded across local news. My phone became a constant source of anonymous calls from reporters. I ignored them all, funneling all press contact through Rodrigo. On Monday, Carolina looked worried. Mr. Sebastian, there's a woman in reception. She says it's urgent. Who? She wouldn't give her name, but she looks like the picture of your ex-wife I saw on your desk. My heart pounded. Tell her I'm unavailable. I did. She says she won't leave until she talks to you. I went down. Lorena was standing by the windows. She looked terrible. Her hair was messy, not the perfect style I remembered. She wore simple jeans and a t-shirt I'd never seen before. No makeup, deep dark circles under her eyes. Lorena, you should not be here. She turned, her eyes hollow with desperation. Sebastian, please. I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. Just 5 minutes, please. I glanced around. Several employees were watching. Fine, but not here. I led her to an empty conference room, closed the door, but left the blinds open. What do you want? I saw the news about Ricardo. I had no idea about his money problems. He told me he was so successful. He probably told you a lot of lies. He lied about everything. About leaving his wife, about me being special, about the other women. I'm sorry he lied to you, but it's not my problem. Sebastian, I made the worst mistake of my life. I destroyed you. I destroyed our marriage, and all for a man who was a total fabrication. Did you come here looking for pity? I came because I have no one left. My mother is furious. My friends abandoned me when the truth came out. I have no money, no job. I have nothing. Again, not my problem. I know that. I have absolutely no right to ask you for anything, but I am desperate. Sebastian, what exactly do you need? I need cash, just to survive until I can find any kind of work. Anything. I am giving you $1,000 a month per the agreement. That's not enough for anything. The room I'm renting at my mother's place costs $800. Then find a cheaper place. Or better yet, get a job. I am trying, but no one will hire me. The moment they see that 5-year gap in my resume, I'm out. You should have thought about that before. Lena began to cry again. Please, Sebastian. Not for me. For the good years we had. For what we once meant to each other. Those years are long gone, and they clearly didn't mean much to you if you tossed them away for Ricardo. I know you're right, but I'm begging you. I just need a hand to get back on my feet. I looked at her. A small, painful part of me, the part that had loved her for a decade, wanted to relent. But the stronger part, the part that remembered the vile messages, the photos, the utter contempt, held firm. No, I will not give you more money. I am not your safety net anymore. You made your choices. Now you must live with the consequences. Sebastian, please. The conversation is over. You need to leave. Now, Lena, or I will call security. Slowly, she got up, wiping her tears. You'll regret this someday. I highly doubt it. I watched her walk toward the elevator, her shoulders slumped in total defeat. For a split second, I felt something that resembled pity, but then the memory of her laughing, telling me to use my hand, calling me boring, it all rushed back, and the pity was gone. The following months were a period of genuine rebirth for me. With the divorce in motion and Lorena out of my life, I focused on rebuilding my identity. It was tough. Loneliness was a real thing some nights, and I questioned if I had been too severe, if I should have offered a second chance. But then Rodrigo would call with updates that always reinforced my decisions. Lorena tried to delay the process, claiming emotional trauma from the divorce. He informed me one day. Her lawyer argued she needed more time to recover. Trauma? She created this entire disaster. I know. The judge knew too. Motion denied. The divorce proceeds on schedule. Meanwhile, the public spectacle of Ricardo Mendoza continued. His restaurants shuttered. The family home was foreclosed. Sylvia won full custody and a restraining order after Ricardo tried to violently confront her. The three mistresses faced social ruin. Patricia, daughter of a local politician, was publicly exposed. Her father disowned her at a press conference. Daniela, a social media influencer, lost all her sponsorships once the affair became public. And Lorena? Her name was utterly destroyed across the city. Carolina showed me the blog post, a detailed profile of the three women, old social media photos, and the most damaging material, screenshots of the messages where they all mocked Sylvia. I'm not sure you want to read this, Carolina warned. It's brutal on her. I read it anyway. The article depicted Lena as an untalented gold digger who traded her career for my wallet, then cheated with a serial adulterer. It wasn't inaccurate, but seeing the cold facts laid out made me uneasy. The comments were horrifying, hundreds of strangers insulting her, destroying her with every word. Part of me felt justified, but another part, the one that remembered the ambitious girl from college, felt a profound sadness. 3 months after she signed, the divorce was finalized. Rodrigo called with the news. It's official. You are no longer married. I expected euphoria, but I just felt a deep, quiet emptiness. That night, I sat alone, sipping wine, staring at the decree. 10 years reduced to 2 pages of legalese. All the love, the shared future, the dreams, officially erased. My phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Sebastian, it's Lorena. I know you blocked the old one. I just wanted you to know I got a job. It's only a coffee shop, but it's work. I'm trying to start over. I don't expect you to care, but I wanted you to know. I also want to give you a real apology this time. Not for what I lost, but for the pain I caused you. You were a good husband, and you deserve better. I hope you find someone who truly values you. Take care. I reread it several times. It sounded sincere, calmer than her previous pleas. But I had learned a devastating lesson about her words. Actions mattered. I didn't reply. I blocked the new number immediately. 2 weeks later, Carolina came in with a strange smile. Mr. Sebastian, Sylvia Mendoza is here to see you. Sylvia walked in, looking lighter than before, a genuine smile on her face. Sebastian, I hope I haven't interrupted anything. Not at all. What can I do for you? I wanted to update you on Ricardo. The divorce was finalized last week, and I have some news that I think you'll appreciate. She sat and pulled out her phone. Ricardo tried to file for bankruptcy, but my lawyers found a hidden account in the Cayman Islands. About $200,000 he never declared. Money he siphoned off for personal use. Will they recover it? It's already recovered. The judge ordered it split between settling the restaurant debts and my divorce settlement. Ricardo is furious, but powerless. I'm glad you got your justice. That's not all. About $50,000 of that hidden money was spent on gifts for his mistresses. Jewelry, trips, designer clothes. My lawyer argued it was stolen from the marriage. The judge agreed. What does that mean? It means Ricardo has to get those gifts back or pay the cash value. And guess who received the most expensive gifts? Lena. Exactly. $23,000 worth of gifts over 6 months. An $8,000 diamond necklace, a $5,000 handbag, all the designer shoes and clothes. Ricardo has already sent her a legal letter demanding she return everything or pay the equivalent cash. I couldn't help but grin widely. She doesn't have that money. I know, which means Ricardo can sue her directly. And frankly, after reading the messages where she mocked me, I hope he does. It's the perfect poetic justice. It is. But I truly came to thank you. Without the evidence you shared, I never would have built such an ironclad case. Ricardo would have manipulated the system, hidden more funds. You helped me get what I deserved. You helped me too. Your messages sealed my case. Then we're even. She stood to leave, but paused at the door. One more thing. Have you spoken to Lena recently? She sent me a message a few weeks ago. I ignored it. Good. She's working at a coffee shop downtown. I saw her the other day. She looked humbled, broken. Do you pity her? No, but I don't get pleasure from her suffering either. I just feel, I don't know, indifference. She's simply not my problem anymore, or yours. After Sylvia left, I realized that word, indifference, perfectly described my feelings for Lena now. Not hate, not love, just a complete emotional blank slate. It was bizarre how someone who was once the axis of my world had become less than a passing thought. A month later, I was at a coffee shop downtown, waiting for a client, when I saw her. Lena was behind the counter, wearing a work apron and a simple ponytail, taking orders from impatient customers. Our eyes met across the counter. I saw a flash of surprise, then deep shame in hers. I walked up when it was my turn. Hi, Sebastian, she murmured. Lena, what can I get for you? An Americano, please. Her hands were shaking slightly as she worked the machine. How have you been? Good. And you? Surviving. This job is tough, but at least it's honest work. I paid and took my coffee. We stood there for a moment, an immense silence between us, heavy with all the unsaid words. But in the end, I simply said, take care, Lena. You too. I walked out without looking back, and for the first time since that terrible morning in the kitchen, I felt a deep, complete peace. Not satisfaction in her downfall, not vindication, just peace. That night, I received Rodrigo's final email. Thought you'd want to know, Ricardo Mendoza formally filed the lawsuit against Lena for the value of the gifts. She has no means to pay. She will likely file for bankruptcy. I closed the email without responding. The soap opera of Lena and Ricardo was no longer my story. I had truly moved on. 2 weeks later, I met someone new. Her name was Andrea. She was an architect with her own successful firm and a laugh that was absolutely contagious. We met at an industry conference. She was nothing like Lena. She was independent, successful in her own right, and utterly honest. Our first date was simple, coffee and conversation. I told her about my divorce, keeping the sordid details minimal. She talked about her own difficult breakup years ago. Are you afraid to trust again? She asked, looking right at me. Terrified, I admitted. But I also know that not every woman is like my ex-wife. We're not, she smiled. And I have my scars too. But we can't let the past steal our future. She was right. As we walked that night, talking for hours about engineering, architecture, our dreams and goals, I felt a feeling I hadn't realized was missing: hope. The painful chapter with Lena was finally closed. It had been humiliating, devastating, but it had also taught me invaluable lessons about self-worth, about boundaries, and about never accepting less than I deserved. I was finally ready to write a new one. 6 months after our first date, my life with Andrea was flourishing. Our relationship was something I'd never experienced with Lena. Andrea was my equal in every sense. We insisted on splitting all costs. She always paid her share. When she worked late, she never expected me to cancel my life to cater to her. When I had a stressful project, she was supportive without resentment. You know what I love about us? She asked me one night over dinner. We are two whole people choosing to be together, not two broken people trying to complete each other. She was absolutely right. With Lena, I always felt I had to be her provider, her entertainment, her complete solution. With Andrea, I was simply her partner. One Saturday, Andrea and I were shopping for groceries when I saw her. Lena was in the canned goods aisle, comparing prices with a list. She wore simple, unbranded clothing, her hair pulled back carelessly. She looked exhausted. Andrea noticed my stillness. Is that someone you know? My ex-wife. Should we leave? No. Seeing her doesn't affect me anymore. Just then, Lena looked up and saw us. I watched her register our presence. Notice Andrea's hand resting naturally on my arm. Notice our easy smiles. Something crossed her face. It looked like a flicker of genuine regret, but she quickly averted her eyes and went back to her shopping. She's the one who cheated on you, Andrea said quietly. Yes. She looks different than I imagined. More human. Consequences have a way of humanizing people. We didn't approach her. There was no need. That door was shut. We paid for our groceries and left. I didn't think about Lorena again that day. A week later, Carolina handed me a certified letter. It was from Mauricio Taves, Lena's lawyer. Dear Mr. Sebastian, I write on behalf of my client, Lorena Castro, to inform you that she has filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. As part of the proceedings, you are required to submit documentation of any shared assets during the marriage. Please contact my office. I forwarded it to Rodrigo. His response was immediate. Standard procedure. Don't worry. You have zero further financial obligation to her. The bankruptcy is her problem. 2 days later, I received another bizarre message, an Instagram DM from an account I didn't recognize. It was Patricia, one of Ricardo's other mistresses. I know this is odd, but I got your contact from Sylvia. Lena messaged me last week begging for money. She said you refused to help, and she has no one left. I just want to warn you that she's trying to manipulate people. I didn't give her anything, but I thought you should be forewarned. I replied with a quick thank you and immediately blocked any channel Lena might use to contact me again. I was not letting her drama back in. Andrea noticed my tension later that evening. What happened? I told her about the message. She must be utterly desperate, Andrea mused. But that is still not your problem. I know. It just frustrates me that she keeps trying to pull me back in. That's because for 10 years, you were her ultimate solution. It will take time for her to accept that her safety net is permanently gone. In October, a year after I first confronted Lena, Andrea and I decided to move in together. Not to my old house, which was tainted by so much pain, but to a brand new apartment downtown, a clean slate for just us. On moving day, while packing the last boxes in my old closet, I found a small container. Inside were photos of Lena and me from the early days, vacations, birthdays, genuinely happy moments I had almost forgotten. For a split second, I felt a painful nostalgia for that lost time. Andrea walked in. What did you find? I showed her the photos. She looked at them silently. You look happy there, she finally said. I thought we were. Maybe for a while. But people change. Circumstances change. Do you think I was too hard on her? Andrea looked me dead in the eye. No. I think you finally drew boundaries that should have been there for years. She made a choice, knowing the consequences. You simply enforced them. Sometimes I wonder if things would have been different if I had been more present, less focused on work. Sebastian, you cannot take the blame for her choices. She could have talked to you about her needs. She could have suggested marriage counseling. She had 1,000 options before betrayal. What happened was not your fault. Her words released a deep, silent guilt I hadn't realized I was still carrying. Thank you, I said, pulling her into a hug. What will you do with the pictures? I looked at them one last time. Keep them, not to look back fondly, but as a reminder that there was good, too. That not everything was bad. In December, I got an unexpected invitation. Sylvia Mendoza was getting remarried, and she invited Andrea and me. A wedding. Andrea laughed. Do you really want to go? Honestly, yes. Sylvia became a vital, unexpected ally. I want to celebrate her new start. The wedding was beautiful. Sylvia married a university professor, a quiet, kind man who looked at her with pure adoration. During the reception, Sylvia came to our table. Thank you for coming, she said, hugging us both. It means so much. You look truly happy, I told her. I am. I finally found someone who values me for me, not for what I can provide or tolerate. Have you heard anything about Ricardo? Nothing direct. I hear he's in a small rental apartment, doing some kind of sales job. His reputation is so toxic none of his old contacts will touch him. And the women? Patricia got married within her social circle. Daniela moved out of the city, trying to rebuild her brand online. And Lorena? I guess you know more than I do. I know nothing. I cut all contact. Probably for the best. I hear she's in therapy, working 2 jobs, desperately trying to pay down her debt. Honestly, that detail gave me a strange sense of closure. Not because I wanted her misery, but because she was finally forced to face reality, working, being accountable, responsible for her own life. In February, exactly 18 months after I told Lena to earn her own money, Andrea and I got engaged. It was simple, no fuss. We were having dinner at home when I presented the ring. I don't want a massive wedding, I told her. No drama, no ridiculous expense. I just want to promise you that I will be your partner, your equal, for the rest of our lives. That is all I want too, she replied, tears welling up. We planned a small summer wedding, just close friends and family. No ostentation, no performance, just a real celebration of our connection. One spring afternoon, while Andrea and I were picking out flowers, my phone rang. An unknown number. This time, I answered. Sebastian. It was Lena's voice, but it sounded different, older, more grounded. Lorena, I asked you not to contact me. I know, and I respect that, but I saw you're getting married. I saw the announcement in the paper. I just wanted to, well, I wanted to wish you happiness. Thank you. I wanted to apologize for real, this time. Not because I need anything, but because a year of therapy has helped me understand the damage I did. Not just to you, but to myself. You deserved so much better than I gave you. I am deeply sorry for not being the person you deserved. I appreciate that. Your fiancée, Andrea? She looks like a good person, from the photos. She is. I'm genuinely glad. You absolutely deserve happiness, Sebastian, more than I could ever give you. Lena, I hope you find your own happiness too. I really do. I'm working on it. 2 jobs now. Paying down debt, starting over. It's incredibly hard, but it's honest. For the first time in years, I feel like a real person, not just a decorative object in someone else's life. That is good to hear. I won't contact you again. I just needed to say this. Goodbye, Sebastian, and thank you for not utterly destroying me when you had every right. Goodbye, Lena. I hung up, staring at the phone. Andrea came over. Are you all right? Yes, I smiled. I think we finally both have closure. My wedding day with Andrea was perfect, simple, intimate, overflowing with genuine love. As we exchanged vows, I reflected on how profoundly different this was from my first marriage. Here, there were no false promises or unrealistic burdens. Just two people consciously choosing each other every single day. During the toast, my best friend, Marco, talked about second chances and new beginnings. Sometimes, he said, things have to break completely before you can build something truly strong. He was absolutely right. My marriage to Lena had to be utterly destroyed for me to be free to find something real with Andrea. That night, dancing our first song as husband and wife, I felt a deep, profound gratitude, not just for Andrea, but for the strength I had found to walk away from toxicity, to enforce my boundaries, and to refuse to accept less than I deserved. The saga with Lena was painful, humiliating, and devastating, but it taught me priceless lessons about self-worth, about the difference between generosity and enabling, and the critical need to be valued, not just needed. Looking into Andrea's eyes, I knew I had made the right decisions. I had chosen my dignity over comfort. I had chosen honesty over convenient lies. I had chosen a healthy future over a toxic past. The consequences I imposed were not revenge. They were justice, and that justice had finally set me free to build something truly beautiful. Do you believe Sebastian's final act of cold indifference was a necessary step toward his own healing, or was it the ultimate confirmation of the emotional shutdown his ex-wife accused him of? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Share your thoughts about this story in the comments.